Unfortunately, I think about 2 years ago, my friend. And I want to take you to a subtropical or tropical scenario. What you see here is basically a temperate kind of scenario because a lot of the people here came from Europe, came from England, which is temperate grassland. And so we love grass, or we end up hating them. All right, the other way. But when you go to the tropics, the first thing you think, oh God, it's hot. I'm sweating, all right? It's hot and humid. The second thing is, if you go to Arataki Center, you go to one of our native New Zealand bush, it's not the same. What we see are a lot of exotic trees that shed their leaves, that go dormant. But most New Zealand native trees are evergreen. And so also in the tropics, they are evergreen. And when they're evergreen, it's like, how the heck am I going to graft them when you come from Europe? And most of you know how to do your grafting. You take a cyanwood and you stick it onto something that's growing, a rootstock and all that kind of thing. And you do that in spring because the plants go dormant and then in spring they start growing actively, and that's when you stick it on and say, well, grow. But in the tropics, it's quite a problem. They never stop growing. So that's the opposite thing. Now we're going to try to find a way in which we can propagate plants that are actively growing. It's not a cyanwood that's dormant on an active rootstock. So here I am. I just went a little bit earlier and snipped off a branch from that hedge there, which how many of you are going to be trying out this method? Oh, good. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I bought my knife, but I'm not.
Oh, good, 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 good. They have. I just checked the first aid kit, but when you use a sharp instrument and you cut yourself, there's going to be a lot of blood. So they hardly have any pads, you know. They're all plasters, that kind of thingy. Anyway, I'll try to give you the minimum. So, to do marketing, you have to look at one thing. The plant has got to be actively growing. They're actively growing, sap flowing, with leaves and branches like that. You're not going to cut them off and stick them in sand. That's different, all right? You are going to make the plant, the branch, give you a rooted plant while it's still on the tree, all right? Now here I have a cross section. The bark is dead, it's dead wood, there's nothing there. But, and most of you have done grafting, you know the cambium layer. That's the only layer on a plant that is actively growing. It grows and becomes bark on one side and becomes wood on the inside. So we're still looking at cambium. It's very important, but it's going to be very different. Okay? So this tree here, actively growing, is getting minerals and water out from the ground. Bring it up to the leaves, and with photosynthesis, making food, sap, to feed the rest of the plant. And so water goes up and down. Minerals and water going up there with photosynthesis, getting the right nutrients for the plant. So that's the way it grows. We want to keep the water going up. We want to let the plant keep on making food here and coming down. But at the same time, we want it to form roots. So what we do is, we want to interrupt the flow downwards. We've got the flow upwards, and that is inside of the cambium layer, a layer called sapwood. It's just the layer behind the cambium where water goes up. And then the water is going to come down with the cambium as well. So we're going to pick something like this because this makes a nice tree. By the time it's got roots, it's nice. So just imagine that this is not cut off, it's still part of the tree. So the first thing you want to do is to make a cut here. All right, it's quite sharp. So those of you who are doing it and you have secateurs, that's a good size for you to make your marketing on. You can have bigger pieces, but not too big. All right, you can go smaller if you have a small plant, that's fine. But this size for this tree, that's good. And when you try to do your marketing afterwards, remember when you prune a feijoa tree, you want to prune the inside, not the outside. Okay, so please make your markot a little bit further in. Don't take the branches outside. Then you're going to get your plant like that. You want the birds to be able to get in there. Okay, and also I found out that the afternoon sun is from here. It's hot. Do it on the other side, because a tropical forest is basically quite shady. It's hot, humid, but not like here in Auckland, because when it's hot, it's dry. And that's the one thing that's going to make your marketing fail. It has to be humid and wet. All right, so instead of using that sharp thingy, a good way is just to use your secateur and just go around it like this. That's one easy way, so that you won't get cut and you don't have to open up that first aid box. Okay? Yes, right round. There is a guy in India, and he said, well, when you do that, it's too much, he said, and he gets failures. So he leaves a strip that's not cut. Yeah. So enough to make sure that it doesn't join up again. 1 inch, 2 inches, up to 3 inches, depending on the size. Just go through like this. Or with this, or with a Stanley knife. I hate using those where you can snap off the blade, because I was doing it once because I didn't have a Stanley knife, and the darn thing flipped and almost got me in the eye. So be very careful. So once you've got this round, all you're going to do is make a vertical cut. Make a vertical cut. Don't worry about cutting into the wood. That's not a problem. You can just flip it open. Can you see? I've just flipped it open and peel off the bark. There you go. All right. But that's not good enough, because part of the cambium could still be there. So it's very important that you scrape this thing. Scrape it. Because that white part with you can see the green there, that's the cambium. I've taken it off. But part of this sapwood can still grow. So what you do is just scrape it. Scrape it like this with a blade. I'll just scrape it a bit for you to see. So you can see, once I scrape it, it's left with that white sapwood underneath.
You do that all around?
Yeah, do that all around. So that the water can go up, the minerals and everything taken up by the roots can go up to the leaves. Leave all of this alone, don't prune it. And then these are going to produce food, and then the food is going to come down to the cambium for it to grow, and all of a sudden it realizes, oh my God, there's no cambium here. I can't do a thing with this thing. It's not going to make this plant grow. And nature has got its own very intelligent way of doing things. It comes right down to here, see the cambium there? It says, okay, I've got to do something to survive. And that's what it does. It starts making roots here. And the roots will come out here, if we give it the same condition as the ground. So in other words, we have to have some medium here that is wet and at the same time have some air around it so that roots can go into it and survive. All right? Traditionally, and when I was in Malaya, the best thing around was cow pads. Wet cow pads, you just take it, slap it on, and then you get a coconut husk, you know, and after that you slap that, and actually cow pads is actually very clean. It just comes up from the cow full of all the bacteria and everything that keeps it from getting infected. That's why the Hindu priests wrap themselves, put cow pads all over. They're walking around totally covered in cow pads. All right? So that's what we do. And this is easy. 2 cuts, take it out, scrape it, leave you can see the cambium there. You've done your job with the cutting. All right? I'll just pass it around, you can have a look at it.
Is there a time of the year when you should do this?
Yes, not in the middle of winter when they go dormant, and at the same time in Auckland, not in the middle of summer when it's so darn dry, it's hot, this will dry up. And that's where we have little tricks where we try to cover them with aluminum foil, and we've got to make sure that it's covered well, or if it's not covered well, keep on watering it. Because, like I said, in Malaya, we use cow pads and we put a coconut coir around. And 5 o'clock it rains, that's easy. But anytime it doesn't rain, just pour water on it. And so they don't worry about covering it totally. Here you have to, and I'll show you. It's good, rich soil, but if personally I would put, those coconut coir bricks where you can buy and soak them and have more of them in here, or have more clay in this so that it's more sticky and wet. This is very nice for your vegetable garden, but the plant has no roots. It doesn't need rich soil. It can be sterile, it can be any of those things. I would say old clothes, just make it into a ball and stick it on. That's fine. Anything like that is fine. Old wool that you use in the garden, clip it on. Anything that can be more sticky than this. This is not that sticky, all right? Because you want lots of water. So what happens is you can start wrapping it. You can wrap it one way or another. This is one way of doing it. You can do it many ways. I'm just going to show you one or two ways. Using an old bottle, not a problem. Using a plastic bag, not a problem. All right, it's just getting something that is waterproof. There you are. So where's one of the branches? Yeah. So what you do is you make sure that this is rounded. This is open, so on a tree you can just put it round and put soil into it. That's all it is. And you just stuff the soil in, make sure it's compact and full of water, and water that, as you can see, is already dried up. Make sure that this is wet, very, very wet. So you make sure that it's wet. All right. You make sure that you have enough soil in it. Something like this. Stuff it. Make sure it's totally full, packed tight, and full of water. That's about ready to go. And then what you do is you tie it up with some string. You just tie it up with string, and if you want to cover this, totally cover it, or you can squeeze this. You'll be quite round. And there you go. And today we like to use clear plastic rather than green plastic bottles or anything like that. And a clear plastic bag rather than black plastic bag, for one simple reason. We are too impatient and we are too curious. So we want to see, are the roots growing? Are the roots growing? Because when it's black, they don't grow, you don't know. But once you're used to it, black is good. Black is hot. But if you're new, put a clear one so you can go and look at it every day. All right. And before you know it, you will see roots coming out. Leave it for a while, let the roots grow more until you have a whole thing full of roots. Then when you open it up, don't disturb the root ball, plant it with the root ball. Okay, none of that opening up the roots and all that.
So do you just cut it off at that point? Yeah. Just a standard 45 degree?
Below,
Off and just
below.
plant directly?
Yeah.
How much do you leave below? Cut it as close as possible?
Well, whatever is not used will just rot up and that's it. Because below the graft point, nothing will grow. But basically where we put it, the roots will grow at the top of where we cut it, and below it will be useless. So if you want to snip it off, you can. But since the soil is already there, you don't want to disturb the soil, just cut it off here. So that is, sorry?
How long?
About 1 month to 2 months. 30 days to 45 days if you are successful and you get the right conditions. But it's like my partner Anne always asking me, and she says, you know these noodles, how long do I boil them for? And I said, until they're white. Okay. So how long do you keep them for? Until you see the roots. Okay. Plants don't work to human time frame. They work when they work. So when you see the roots nicely, you snip it off and plant it. Okay. Now, as far as that cutting, there is nothing much to it. 1 ring round, 2 rings round, slit in the middle, open it up, there you are. Okay. It is how you wrap it up and everything that's interesting. Okay. There are all kinds of things, and I learned this from a chef. I like my vindaloo, all right? Vindaloo is when you have to pickle the meat for a little while. So, here's a vindaloo method. See? There I have my meat all in, and my sand, and my clay, and I make it into a ball, and I make sure that I've got water in it. Yeah. So if you read your books and you can't find vindaloo, because that came from me. So there you are, totally wet and nice. All right? And I wrap it up, okay? I wrap it up. My vindaloo method. Okay, so it's wrapped up. What do I do? Easy. Okay, there we are. And there I am. And I've got it wrapped up. All I got to do is take my string and just tie it around. You have to be able to do it by yourself, not having other people to tie it. So you take it and you loop it round like this. Right? Oh, this is not long enough. So you loop it round, that keeps it tight, bring it to the bottom, bring it back up to the top and tie it up. That's all you do. That's all you do. Then once you've got it, it may not be watertight. And at the same time, you want it to be cool and not hit by sunlight. So this is where the aluminum foil comes in. Put a layer of aluminum foil around it, give it a squeeze here, give it a squeeze there, and there you go. And when you're curious, you open it up to have a look and say, oh, I got roots, all right? Here in the tropical areas, we have, say, apple and all that, okay? What happens is the scion, the variety of apple that you have, is because it came from a good apple tree. The fruit is nice, but it may not like to grow well on its own roots. That's why you got to graft them onto a plant with strong roots, right? A rootstock plant. So certain of our modern plants with good, where you graft them onto rootstocks, you can graft them to your roots, but they'll be sickly plants. The reason is, like if you get a Pacific rose, you can get a Pacific rose now. But what happens is Pacific rose is lovely to eat, and it's a weak plant. If you grow it on its own roots, it'll be a sickly plant. You spend your whole life trying to take care of it. If you go on citrus, a lot of grapefruit, kaffir lime, Meyer lemon, they grow very well on the roots. So anything that will grow well on the roots, you can graft them here. And a lot of tropical plants, because they are not that advanced with their, hybridizing and getting all that. They're still very old-fashioned, but very, very vigorous and strong plants. Those are the ones you want. So if you have a favorite tropical temperate fruit and you have one that's grafted, usually no. Because it's grafted means it's a weak plant that you graft onto something. As a branch, but it is a bit too much, I'll just take it off. That is good enough. Oh my God, it's got a fruit even. 2 fruit, oh!
Could I mark up that
Oh,
one
it's terrible.
that you've taken off?
Yeah, you could. But there it is now. So what happened is, I'll just cut this here. Cut round it. Yep. No, just press and there you go. And just try not to get blood, that's all. Yeah. That's why it's easier to just put your secateur there and then just go around it like this, see? That is safer, if you like. See? And this is actively growing right now. I can just use my fingernails and just pull it off. That's quite easily done. See? And there it is. All ready for the medium to be put around it. And just scrape it like this. Just to get whatever is there out. See what I'm doing? I'm just getting that brownish part off. Because while we say cambium is green, a lot of it is actually whitish as well. So what we want to do is, we don't want the sap, once it becomes food, to go down here. Because the plant will then say, why would I bother to make roots? The point is to stop it from going down. It can go up from the sapwood inside, but once it starts coming down and trying to be useful for the plant, it finds to form roots. So it's only here that the roots will form. Keeping this gap, how big you want it to be, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, that's about good enough. It's enough of a gap, of a breach, so that it doesn't come down. So it stays stuck up there. And that's when roots start growing there. Yep, tighten this part up. Just go around like that. And then tie it up, that's all. Yeah. And you can use two, 3 different strings, you know, it doesn't have to be one string. And once you tie part of it, go back and do another round and all that, just to keep it tight. They use coconut husk because you put 3 husks, it makes a good round already. So there I am. I've tightened it, but not totally. So it's not well done. Put water around it. Can somebody pour the water? Yeah. Just pour it in. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let it drip from the bottom. Yeah.
Do you reckon if you had like banana skin water that it...
And there it is. Okay, that would do. That would do. So it's totally wet now. The whole part now is to cover it up. Okay. So to just make sure that it is tight, watertight, easy. And then you can open it up and have a peep because you're curious. There it is. That will work. Now it doesn't look so bad. All right. All the ugliness is hidden. That's how our clothes were invented.